First, from a bye week standpoint, we had some good practices last week. I thought our guys really concentrated on getting better. We really took Tuesday and Wednesday to emphasize good on good, especially with our younger players. Our 2s and 3s took all the reps on Tuesday, which allowed them to obviously get better. Our 1s jumped in with a little bit of at the end of practice on Tuesday. Had a Wednesday practice that was dedicated mainly towards LSU prep, and Thursday as well. From an injury standpoint, got guys back, which was huge. Andre Tolliver has been full go since last Tuesday on, and has looked really, really good. A couple guys got banged up in that Mississippi State game. Martrell Spate, Dan Skipper, all those guys came back strong. Jay Will had a really good practice on Sunday. Had all of them. There's 4 or 5 guys we didn't know what they'd do on Sunday, and they all jumped in and went 100%. So really should be pretty close to full strength. Cameron Jefferson is not back with us yet, but a chance of him practicing on Tuesday with us and see what he can do going into the game on Saturday. But really feel good about that. Excited about this week and the opportunity to play a rivalry game, the boot. Everything that involves. We're really going to do some things during the course of the week to try and educate our players on that. It's a rivalry that means a lot to this state and means a lot to this program. Last year, to get so close to defeat, I think a lot of times blessings truly do come in the disguise of failure. And although we lost that game a year ago, I think we learned what we had to do to move forward. I've made a lot of progress this year. I think it's kind of fun. We told our guys last night, at least I did, is that, listen, we're getting a little chilly around here. The weather is getting closer to what it may be like next Saturday or this Saturday on game time. So we're going to embrace it. We went out last night. We'll go out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, get out in the elements and embrace the chill. I looked at LSU, and they don't have that same weather, which could hopefully benefit us. But I also tell our fans we want a live crowd on Saturday night, 7 o'clock. So if you need to go out and walk around this week, some of that cold weather yourself to get used to it, acclimated to show up and be rowdy, I'd love it. One thing I loved about coming to Arkansas is we're all in this together, and I know I get a lot of mail and a lot of letters that have been very, very uplifting to me, and shared with them to the team several things that people have written in and shared how much they enjoy watching our team play, and it's going to get over the mountain soon. So I think we'll have a pretty great crowd, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity. And then obviously with my facial hair, I'm not on strike or making anything personal, just a stash for Slive. And I was out on the recruiting road last week. Every high school, every school I went into, you felt like you had to explain yourself why you're not shaven or clean shaven. So I felt I needed to do the same here. It's just an opportunity to my dad was actually a prostate cancer fighter as well. So it's something I hold close to my heart. And our thoughts are with Commissioner Slive in the November, No Shave November, to try and raise awareness for prostate cancer and everything that involves. So excited about the opportunity. With that, open up for questions.
What did you think of the LSU game?
Nate, I obviously everybody's looking forward to it. I didn't land in Fayetteville till 9:30 Saturday night. I was on the road from Wednesday night. We took off after practice. I didn't get back until 9:30 on Saturday night. So I literally just watched the fourth quarter live, and great college football game as that game has always been. I thought it was interesting when there was that fumble there at the end. They showed the stats. I'm well aware of our games when we play these teams, but you don't know some of the things that are shared between other teams. And obviously Alabama LSU is a long storied game with a lot of history, and to see that thing unfold and pan out, I think our players hopefully learned some lessons from it. We talked about them last night. Go back and watch the film yesterday. Obviously, a game that was very, very physical, very well hard-fought game, one that was earned in the end by a great execution on both sides. But I think Alabama to put themselves in that position at the end to win was typical Alabama fashion, and LSU's done a lot of really good things, and unfortunate somebody had to lose that game.
What's your take on LSU overall?
LSU. Well, I'd start offensively. They got 4 or 5 back up front. They got a tight end that's very physical, fullback that's played a lot for them. They got two or three running backs, whether it's a freshman in there or the upperclassmen. They're very, very, very physical in the run game. Their passing game is Obviously, the numbers aren't maybe where they want them all the time, but they definitely can execute. The quarterbacks have done a nice job. They got young quarterbacks. So another thing with that crowd that shows up on Saturday, there's a lot of communication at the line of scrimmage. So if we can be rowdy when we're out there on defense, it would be a great blessing for us. So come early, be loud, and stay late. Got a chance to watch something pretty special on Saturday. Defensively, really big up front. They got some talented guys. Their linebackers, run very, very well. I think in the back end they're opportunistic, have taken advantage of some things the offense has given them. And in a kick game, they're always dangerous. It's a very good football team. They're 7-3, and could easily be 10-0. But in this league, we all know what it's about.
You guys are a favorite. I think the early line.
Yeah, Tom. I'm not. I just made a decision early in my coaching career to not really pay attention to that. At my last place, we were a favorite all the time. Didn't really say anything about that. Really kind of prohibited in the building to talk about that because you just don't want the repercussions coming back that people think you're worried about it. It's not surprising. I think one of the things I've really preached to our guys is this. I've given them examples of when you have a Jimmy Johnson or a Jerry Jones who obviously know the game of football, came in and talked to them and told them how much they've grown when they hear questions from you guys and, they hear themselves get talked about on TV and the respect that we've gained and to be a 4-5 football team. I think there was a thing circulating last week there. I don't know if it was ESPN or someone had a rating system where we were like the 20th ranked team in the country, the only team in the whole thing that was a losing record. Sometimes you're the last person to know how really good you are. It's one of those things kind of in life. I'm sure you've had that same thing where, you didn't know how maybe good you were at writing or reporting, and someone kind of made you aware of it one day. You don't understand it until it's right there in front of you. And I've told our guys repeatedly is, if all these other people think so many great things about you, but you haven't reaped the rewards of it, why wait any longer? Why not take advantage of this opportunity? So whether we're favored or not favored, we're going to handle our business the same way, and I think our guys know that the chip on our shoulder is going to remain intact.
What you've been calling this week, I guess, to an emotional recharge coming into the last stretch of the season.
I missed the first part. What did you say?
Do you just think there's been an emotional recharge?
It was kind of a fun day for me this morning. I got Trey Flowers got invited to Senior Bowl. So I texted Trey this morning and said, hey, why don't you pop over when you can? And Trey showed up, and it's always been a cool thing to hand that to a senior, that it's a culmination of an honor. You get the best of the best in that game, and I gave it to him, talked about everything he's gone through to get there. So I handed it to him, and we talked for a minute, and I said, how do you think the guys are? He said, Coach, bye week couldn't have been anything better, just to get that resurgence and get guys excited, get healthy, I think is a big part of it. So, you guys heard me say it, 5 by 4 by 3, wherever we go. It's kind of a nice way the schedule's set up, and I'm excited about this, especially to have 2 at home. The last game kind of takes care of itself, whether you're home or away. But to have 2 back-to-back here against 2 very, very quality SEC West teams is fun to be involved with, especially with the boot.
You get choked up when talking about training. We went back to that little scenario that you guys had
Yeah.
in the game this season. Just what's that relationship like between the two of you, and how's that going more this year?
You like your seniors, so I only got 3 more with that guy, and he's pretty special. If we get a bonus, we get a bonus. Nobody deserves it more than him. So it just, the only reason I get emotional is because I love him, like what he brings to the table. So that's why I kind of told our coaches, hey, you only got 3 weeks of this, man. Enjoy every minute, because these guys have been through a lot, and you'd like them to win,
Did you get Trey a letter? What was it exactly?
You get from the Senior Bowl. They do it where they actually send it only to the coach. So it's addressed to the coach. You open it up, and they tell you who had been invited. I'm trying to push a couple more guys there because I think some seniors deserve it. I'd really like to see Martrell Spate, get something. He's really and a lot of times those awards get based off of what they do their junior year, and all that goes into it. He's been as good as anybody in the country that I've seen. I've coached linebackers my entire career. Randy and I just have been blown away the progress he's made. But you get that letter, you give it to him, and then some schools wait till the end of the year to give it to him because they think it loses focus. I was at another program where we didn't give the guys their senior invites till later, and one time I was with a program where the kid didn't get a chance to go because the coach held out too long, and never made sense to me. So I think it motivates me even further. I told Trey, hey, now the greatest invite you can get is behind you. Now let's just go play the greatest 3 games of football you've ever played. And my guess is he'll probably do that. But each one of those things does it a little bit different.
How much of a part of the defensive turnaround is him this year? How much is Rob Smith? How much is Marshall? What is the biggest reason for the turnaround?
It's probably a little bit of a culmination of everything. Obviously, I can't dismiss the not a change in culture, but a change in the awareness that everything matters. And before I think he had a DN that was playing DN. Maybe he didn't know that the will linebacker that was playing behind him really mattered as much as he did, or the safety that. To be quite honest, we probably learned more from our failures this year than our success, because everybody just expects success. But when there's a breakdown, it's usually, hey, this guy didn't get the call, or this guy's misaligned, this guy's eyes are on the number 2 and they should be on the number 3 receiver. It really gets that specific. So again, it's just one of those things where it's a bunch of little things adding together. I'm not trying to minimize them. I think not just Rob, but the Clay Jennings in particular in the back end, and I love the coaches that I lost, but Rory Segrist up front. I think those D linemen would tell you are at another level. Trey has really, I think, benefited from some of the stuff that Roy has brought forward. Darius Philon, Tywan Johnson, those guys that are playing that haven't really played before. I think Rob has a very simplistic plan, which makes our guys play faster. And allows them to play better in critical moments. I already have a list growing of what I think we can correct and move forward with next year. Just kind of some baby steps that we got to make together. But it's been fun to watch. But then anytime your seniors play good football, I know this, you have a senior in every group that's playing as good as he's ever played. Alan Turner, Martrell Spate, and Trey Flowers. And when you have that, as much as it's not going to be great for next year, it's a really good thing to have, because those guys at that position, like I was walking off the field with Dwayne Eugene yesterday, and I said, Dwayne, just immerse yourself in everything that is Martrell Spate. Just everything you can. Martrell Spate was watching film at 7 o'clock Saturday night here in our complex. I was on the road recruiting as well as everybody else, but we had a student assistant in doing some breakdowns, and Martrell Spate, what college kids comes over to watch film on Saturday night at 7 o'clock? But Martrell Spate does, and I think that's an indicator of what he's all about.
Can you talk about your week a little bit, just how busy you guys were?
You mean away from football? Yeah. Again, a lot of great things afforded to us because of the university and what they believe in and supporting us. Sunday night we got done grading the film, having a team meeting, watching practice of the Mississippi State film. I hopped on the plane with 4 of the coaches, dropped a couple coaches in Shreveport, headed over to Houston. Was in Houston early Monday morning, and then went to Port Arthur. It's kind of fun for me. I was driving on Jimmy Johnson Boulevard, so I took a picture of that and shot him a text. And it was kind of funny to have his response back. And then that day I flew to Provo, Utah, late Monday night, and had a great recruiting experience out there. Flew back as early as I could Tuesday morning. The pilots can only fly a certain amount of hours. And then we had great practice Tuesday, great game prep on LSU Wednesday, and then Wednesday night after practice I flew again, dropped a couple guys off in Little Rock, and then we flew on to Atlanta. I recruited Atlanta. Then I flew to southern Georgia, and then I flew to the west coast of Florida on Thursday afternoon. Then I flew over Thursday night, watched 3 high school games in the Miami area on Thursday night. Friday morning, recruited the Miami-Fort Lauderdale area. Friday afternoon, flew over to the central part of the state of Florida, talked to a high school program there, and then flew into Bradenton, Florida, watched a high school football game there that night. Flew back Saturday morning into Hutchinson, Kansas. Was able to recruit Hutchinson, Kansas in the middle of the afternoon. Flew to another game Saturday night, and then got home 10:30 or 9:30 Saturday night. The part that it enables you to do is during our bye week last year, during this exact same bye week last year, I saw Frank Ragnow, Andre Tolliver, Dwayne Eugene, Jared Cornelius, Santos Ramirez, Sebastian Tritola. There's seven or eight guys I saw during that same exact bye week that are playing great football for us right now. So the power of that bye week can be it's hard to explain to your wife, but it's when she knows we might win a game or two because of it, then she's very forgiving.
You talked about embracing the weather earlier, but realistically, if it does snow Saturday,
yeah. Well, again, I think if you haven't been in it, I'd give Randy a little bit of heat all the time. I remember when we played Miami in the Orange Bowl, or in a Florida Bowl. It was in Orlando. An article was out 2 days before that said that this was going to be the coldest game that like 90% of his roster had ever played in. And, those guys came out in long sleeves and hoodies and stocking caps, and our guys are running around like a spring break, this can be kind of turned this week, and I jokingly told the team, listen, one of the reasons I came to Arkansas is for warm weather. It's not working out too well, but you got to embrace it for what it is, and I think that has a certain value. As far as in the game, we'll have heaters available. We'll make things available for them, whether it be hot packs and their things around their waist, little where they put their hands in their socks, whatever it is. But you can't just sit there and concentrate on the weather, concentrate on the game, and understand you can only control the controllables.
Cornelius has solved the punt return problem.
Yeah, well, DJ's back there too, and there's some teams, because of what they do, we put two returners back there. So DJ has rebounded very, very well. But Jared did a nice job, and I'll let him continue to own that. But we've also had a couple other guys back there. Corliss Marshall will be back with us, so he'll be back in the back end as a kick returner, which will be fun to see him. He had a really nice week of practice in addition to what he brings to us in the special team. So we should be a little bit more full throttle.
What do you think this means to the Louisiana guys?
Means a lot. I think Andre Tolliver, I was talking to him last week about when he was coming back, and I was talking to his dad, and he did. Henry Tolliver said to me, he goes, Coach, my boy ain't going to miss that LSU game. And I said I figured that. It's just like when our guys, the Alabama guys, play Alabama. It's just like when Texas goes Texas. It's the ability to go home, hold your head up. There's so many guys on our program. We recruit traditionally rich programs in Louisiana. So Rummel guys are going against some Rummel guys. Some Evangel guys are going against Evangel guys. It's fun to see those things match up, and the more good players. Michael Smith has done a nice job for us in Louisiana, and we're going to hopefully hit that gold mine as much as possible.
Brett, what have you told your guys about sort of starting over the stretch run of the last 3 games? Take what you've learned, but let's not forget that you got beat.
I think, that's kind of what we mentioned earlier. With the bye week, it allows you to kind of turn that page a little bit, and I've phrased it kind of like the November to remember. I think our players, I know I'm not coining that phrase, but you know what I mean? It's just something for them. Whether you're a senior that's leaving this program, like I told Trey this morning, you got 3 weeks with us. You got 2 home games that I know is a guarantee. We're not going to have any. If we were fortunate enough to make a bowl game, they're not going to be in Fayetteville. So you have 2 more games in this stadium that has provided you a lifetime of memories. But what these next 3 weeks unfold, whether it's 3 wins or 0-3 or 1-2 or 2-1, whatever it is, you have set the stage for something that will happen when you're not here. I came here to win an SEC championship, and obviously I know the record that I own, and I really believe because of some of the things I've witnessed this year at other places, I believe that more than ever now. So I think that they understand what's being built. They understand. Part of the reason everybody's like, Coach, how do you get them to play that way every game? How do you get them to – I think it's because they see the growth. They see the improvement. They individually feel it. They individually see it. And as a group, we hopefully feel it. And, when that win comes, it's going to be a very, very great feeling, but I think it'll be one that is an endless satisfaction.
You got a couple of strong running teams down pretty well under their averages. I know you touched on it a minute ago. What kind of led into that?
Well, and in emphasis, first off, when I started in this profession, I realized that, if someone throws for 300 yards, they may have a good performance, but they probably there's no direct correlation to winning. But if you run for 200 or better, you got a very good chance of winning the football game. And that's in every type of offensive system, every type of philosophy. So if we're going to believe in that offensively, then we have to believe in the reciprocal of that defensively. Is we just can't allow people to run the football. There are certain teams that we've played, like for instance, when we play teams that maybe throw the ball with more consistency or with more of an emphasis to their game plan, we may actually begin to defend the pass before we defend the run and say, hey, we'll rally in and make this tackle. We just got to defend this pass route, which is an odd way of doing things, but it's a necessary evil. But I do think that people in this program, generally, defensive coaches and players, they don't want people understanding they can come in and just run the ball on us. And we're so much more. If there's one thing I can say about why we're better on defense, it's by far tackling. We practice tackling every day, and we did a year ago, but not in the same way and not with the same education behind it.
A few more guys.
Coach, talking about how you guys have faced, some of, if not the toughest, and Mississippi State being ranked #1, how much, I guess, confidence has this bye week given your team, knowing the caliber of teams that you faced in comparison to?
Yeah, I think Bret just told me we're facing our 7th straight top 20 team. Which is amazing, but it's not. It's just kind of more of the same. And I think that I don't think our guys see a ranking. I don't think they feel an awareness of this team's ranked 12th or 2nd or 14th or 18th. They just know they're facing a very good football team in the SEC West. For us to survive, I do make the point that I don't have to talk long range with them, but after you get done with LSU, regardless, you got Ole Miss, and after you get done with Ole Miss, you got Missouri. So to survive the next 3 weeks, you need to take care of your body today. That's probably been one of the biggest cultural changes in our program, is with Herb, our medical people and our dietitian, about our bodies have been able to maintain our body weights and our physiques and our structure that allows them to play the certain way as the season wears on. Last year we had guys lose 15, 20 pounds during the course of the year, and you're obviously just not going to hold up.
You mentioned talking to you guys about the boot and all that. How do you approach trophy games, especially?
Well, if you have a trophy, it's a very nice thing to display. But in our case, that we do not have the boot, we'll talk about the boot. We'll show the display case. We'll be able to make them aware of what they don't have. It's a big part of college football. It's been a big part of my coaching history, and again, it represents more than just a victory. It represents something for the state to get behind. So it represents a victory for an entire year. It's not just a little mark in that win-loss column. It's a victory in a trophy that stays with you until you have a chance to defend it again.
You mentioned injuries at the start.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, Skipper, both mentally and physically,
I think the first couple weeks after that A&M game were really tough on him. We had some nice conversations between Coach Pittman and himself, and between me as a head coach, because you could see one of your guys hurting. He's responded very, very well. He's played pretty clean. I think the number change, just as a way to refresh his mind, has been overly pretty positive. But I'm excited because I think Dan's learning to play with a certain type of calmness that is going to make his game that much better.
Do you still need some of that edge with him?
I do. That's the way he lives, I mean, I remember a conversation we had. He said, Coach, I've never had to play with reserve. He just always played the way that he's played. And we kind of talked about how that has shown up and how that may have got him targeted or whatnot. And he made reference, in high school, that when he's a pitcher, he could just throw the ball at the guy. Well, we're not letting him go on a baseball field. So he's got to learn to channel those sources or that aggression in other areas. So whatever he's doing seems to be working.
overall, he's healthy.
Yeah. Again, he was a guy yesterday that we didn't think we'd let him go through warm-ups, and then we had a certain number of periods designated, about a half hour of developmental of work specifically to LSU. We didn't know if he was going to do that. He jumped. He didn't even bat an eye. He was right in the middle of all of it.
Overall, offensively, what would you like to see different?
Well, number one thing is I think we have to be Arkansas. I think that part is real. So what's that mean? Well, it means offensively we got to eliminate the turnovers and the unforced errors. So no penalties, no more 1st and 15s, no more gain 7 yards, bring it back 10 yards. Unforced errors have got to be eliminated. And I think for us to have success, we got to be able to combine our run game and our play action game on 1st, 2nd, 3rd down when needed. And then on 3rd down, if we are forced into a 3rd and 4+, we got to be able to convert. We got to protect our passer and be able to convert down the field. And when we get in the end, get in the red zone, we need touchdowns, not field goals.
You mentioned pushing some more guys for the senior game. You mentioned Spade. Were there some other guys?
I think Alan Turner is playing, those three guys on defense in particular. And then A.J. Derby, because he's a guy that's never played the position. So when they talked about preseason tight ends, at whether it be for an award or whether it be for a Senior Bowl invitation, he wasn't even on the ballot. So you got to get their name on the ballot, and I have struck up a relationship with those bowl because one thing I believe in is as a head coach, if you have earned it, I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen for you. So I remember the first Outland Trophy winner I had was able to be around was Joe Thomas, and I remember I asked our athletic communication director, I go, can you get me everybody that votes for the Outland Trophy? This is 3 or 4 weeks before the end of the season, and I called everybody on that list, and a response back from those people where they've never heard from a head coach. And I'm like, well, if you've seen what he's given me the last, 4 years of his career, this is why I'm making a simple phone call. So that is there. I think Sam Hill is a punter, Alan Diapolino is a snapper. The guys, Demetrius Wilson, guys that have played, but had been a little bit banged up, or they're not necessarily playing bad football. Unfortunately, statistics are the thing to drive your invitation to some of this stuff. So any senior, I'll try to get them involved with whatever we can.